So we're going to start off the bat with Browns at Steelers. And we usually, when we break down these slop watches or break down to like when we do a one thing on the rest of the slate of the games, we alternate who takes the lead on each game. I gave Charles some stinky ones this weekend, so we kind of randomly split them, but give you some stinky ones. But this is one of your first ones here, Charles. The Steelers are 6.5-point favorites. When you're watching Browns Steelers, Chuck, what are you focusing on? What's your one thing?
Ooh, man. Did you say the spread on this game? What was it?
6.5 Steelers at home.
Oh yeah, that feels too low. That just feels too low. Because I would put that as like the over under on how many points the Browns score in this one.
Oh really? Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know. I know.
You're not buying into the Jameis Judy high watermark that they were hitting on Monday.
Please, I think if you play that game even 9 more times, the Broncos defense never lets that happen again. Man, I know they're banged up. They're banged up at this point in the season, but everyone is. So I don't want to give them too much.
Throw that out.
Right. I'm just throwing that out a little bit because you still let Jameis go for what, almost 500 yards. 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. All 3 could have been pick six. That last one at the end was one like shoestring tackle away. But this just seems like such a disaster zone for the Browns offense because, even with these games where you're talking about Jameis, it's better than Deshaun Watson and what he was doing, but like they're still losing for the most part outside of that one game against the Ravens. So, would their fortunes really be that different if Jameis was their starting quarterback this season? Probably not. And I think that just is going to continue to manifest itself as the season goes along because he's capable of lighting up for 400 yards. As we saw he's obviously horrifically turnover prone, and that's why he has been able to load or to keep a starting job in the NFL. But the Steelers defense, this is a defense that's, I would say top 5, probably even closer to maybe like top 3, just based on everything that they can do. Nick Herbig had a great game last week. They just seem to every time they draft someone on defense, it seems to work. And they have one of like the deepest defenses in the league. And you look at the Browns offense, Nick Chubb's been back, but clearly not the same player that he was before. And I don't think anyone was expecting him to be that anyways. Jameis is a turnover machine. I mean, unless Jerry Jeudy gets loose, I don't really see how the Browns score all that many points. I think this could be like an actual statement game for the Steelers defense. And on the flip side, I guess, Russ, just do it again. Cause I know he actually made, it wasn't just the Bengals defense being completely terrible last week. Like he did actually have some plays that looked like vintage Russ, but I can't remember the last time I saw him throw for 400 yards and all those touchdowns. So I just want to see him do it again. Cause if that's like something that's going to be real, then they're a Super Bowl contender. They're not just a playoff team.
Right. The Bengals defense is not good. I think everyone knows that. Anyone who's paid any attention to the NFL this year. Watching Russ last week was like, if you just blacked out the Broncos years and just pictured Russell Wilson aging and how he would play in like a positive way. Like if you, obviously he had an amazing game, drop back success rate, all that stuff, yards. I think it was the second most passing yards he ever had in a game. But how he played, his process was like, oh, it's a guy that has aging traits in some ways. His arm strength is still good, but maybe not all the way there. His creation, his athleticism is, taking a step back. I mean, him and I are in our mid-30s now. He's a little older than me, I will say. So, but watching him just make just sound decisions. He was checking the ball a lot, checking the ball down a lot, and I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. The good checkdowns, hey, we're running 4 verts and the linebacker runs 20 yards deep. All right, check it down to Najee Harris, who goes and picks up a nice gain. And I thought he was just making a lot of good decisions. He's playing within himself. Like when he does his little creation moments, he's not doing it too much. Like he's doing maybe 1 twirl and it's not 2 twirls before he gets rid of the ball, So like it's just him playing within himself, and that's what all this team needs. So it was good to see him play. Not just I've thought about the Steelers offense being like, oh, it's run first, run second, and then maybe 3-4 good Russ throws. Really, Russ played within himself where it was like, oh, okay, now you can nickel and dime a little bit with the passing game, that's something they haven't really been able to show throughout the season. Again, Bengals defense is some good mouthwash, but he could do it again against the Browns. I mean, there's chances to do it. It's a good defense. I mean, that isn't really playing to their fullest, but they can. He could have some opportunities there. So I like what you said there, that if he keeps showing this, that like you change kind of how we feel about the Steelers. They go from like, oh, this is a solid playoff team to like, oh, they might win a game or two if the things kind of keep going this way. The defense is real and the run game is real. So yeah, Steelers talking about them a little bit differently. But,
they're just here all the time. But I will say this year feels a little different to me. Like it feels like they actually have a chance to win a playoff game this year compared to years past.
I agree. Yeah. It's not the loss in Kansas City that they lose by 3 scores, No, I'm with you on that. So, yeah, the Browns game was entertaining. Jameis is talking with like Matt Harmon a little bit about it too. It's like Jameis is entertaining. I'm not saying it's good. Like, it's more like there's more highlights happening in the game, but it's not like it down to down. It's like, oh, all of a sudden everything is solved. So that must just be stated again. Moving on to my first game, I don't know, like this is the Pirate matchup. We got the Raiders at the Bucks. Bucks are also 6.5 point favorites. This is my one thing for this. I have a couple things. First off, when you're watching the Raiders, just focus on Brock Bowers and just watch where he lines up, where he's going, what they're using him on. Even watching last week, you could see some Norv Turner influence in this offense, which is a good thing because that's what, who caught a lot of balls in San Diego, Antonio Gates. With Norv Turner as a calling plays, and now you got Brock Bowers. I know this is probably just for a few months or another month, but at least this season you get to really see him kind of like use his ability. He's incredible. I mean, he's his own thing too. He's a slot receiver. He's a tight end. They use him every which way, running the ball. They use him, creating yards after the catch, downfield. He's just a phenomenal player. So that's at least one shining light with this Raiders team. I will say, little scheme thing here, watching in this game. Raiders run, cover 0. Raiders defense isn't bad, by the way. They're pretty good against the run. Raiders run cover 0 more than anybody in the entire NFL. 11.7% according to Next Gen Stats. That's a pretty big number.
Patrick Graham, man. Just can't.
Yeah. It's cover 0, cover 2. League average is 4.8%. And Chiefs, Graham's got a Patriots background too, so it makes sense. Chiefs are second at 9.2%. So it's a significant gap. It's a couple more times a game than even the Chiefs. Baker against cover 0. Dang good. He's 5th in success rate. On his air yard on those passes, though, is 2.9 yards per attempt.
I was literally about to ask you, is it under 3? Because that seems to be the name of the game in a few of these Bucks games.
Yes, it is. It's a lot of screens. It's just screens and flats and then an occasional go ball to Mike Evans when he's been out there. The Raiders, and so I kind of started pulling out this thread. All right, so how are the Raiders? I guess short passes. They run a lot of cover 0. Are they good at it? So Raiders have faced the 7th most pass attempts behind the line of scrimmage. Screens, things of that nature. 29th in success rate defending against them. Baker has the 2nd most pass attempts behind the line of scrimmage. He has the most passing yards on throws behind the line of scrimmage, 813 yards this season on throws at or behind the line of scrimmage. The league average is 362. He has more than double the league average on throws behind the line of scrimmage. Mahomes is 2nd. He has the highest EPA per dropback on those. So it's a strength. Baker throwing screens and goes, I guess, against what's something the Raiders do a lot of. So maybe some firework plays, tackling is going to be a big thing, for this Raiders defense on that. So I did want to highlight that side of the ball, that at least a little interesting scheme thing where it's not just a total pushover, I think, for the Bucs and Raiders defense.
Yeah, I'm a Georgia homer, but I'm excited about Brock Bowers when he's done. That's something to watch for. He's leading catches right now.
Yeah.
Which is
it's not
pretty
fake.
insane.
Like it's not.
No,
it's not the Wendell Robinson stuff.
Yeah, he leads all tight ends in receiving yards, targets per routes. He's 4th in yards per route run, 10th in total EPA on targets. These are just all the tight ends with over 40 targets this year. So, I think it's pretty crazy when you think about the surroundings, because it's not conducive towards any rookie having a good year there. You've been flipping through Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew with a little sprinkle of Desmond Ridder this season. For a good chunk of the season, they had one of the worst run games, like literally in the history of the league. Devontae Adams bounced pretty early in the season, which just opens up a huge target vacuum, and he's just been like, all right, well, guess I'm going to work. going to work, giving us a chance to win against the Kansas City Chiefs until we just absolutely bungle it at the end. He's a crazy player. And I think he's obviously going to hit 1,000 yards. He's on pace to break Mike Ditka's record for rookie tight ends. So crazy season. Hopefully they can get him some help in the offseason.
Mike Ditka's record.
Yeah, 1961. Yeah. Only two players ever have set 1,000 yards as rookie tight ends, Mike Ditka and Kyle Pitts. And yeah.
Everybody loves Kyle Pitts. That's actually kind of relevant to the last game.
I think Kirk forgot he exists. Yeah.
God, I can't wait to get to that game. I was trying to look up yards per route run for Bowers.
He's
2.18. Yeah.
Yes.
He's tied for 16th. He's just below T. Higgins.
So 16th for all players, 4th for tight ends. Pretty good.
That's pretty dang good. Yeah. Just above CeeDee Lamb, just above Drake London, just above Mike Evans. Yeah. Pretty good player. Rookie tight end. He's a freak, man. It's just like how athletic he is too, how he can run. Like I love breaking him down as a prospect because I was like, this guy, you can't really guard him. Like the teams are shelling out stuff and they can't guard him. All right. Getting on to my last game before the break. This is an AFC East, all disappointing bowl. That's why I'm gonna kind of go with this one. We got the Jets at the Dolphins, 6.5 points again. It's the number of the week. Yeah, this is one of your games. My fault.
Oh yeah, but I mean, if we want to, there's not too much here after last week. I mean, with the Jets, like what do you say after last week? They were up. We were talking about the other day. One of the craziest things about that game was you're up 21-7, and there's a play where like the Jets, I don't know if they're in the red zone or like right outside the red zone, and Garrett Wilson, did a double move. He's wide open in the end zone, and Aaron Rodgers just sails it. You're up 21-7, and for some reason after that, Aaron just kind of quit on everything that was going on. Because I think a play or two later, that was the Leonard Williams pick six, and then after that, he was just going into like shell mode, like where they were just doing really short passes, not really trying to get down the field much. And that was just kind of crazy to me. It did make me feel like a little like, damn, like, bro, you used to be really good. Like the best player I've ever seen, like at his peak. I still think that that's a fair take for someone to have. But right now, they're just so lifeless. And I know that the Dolphins, they losing that game last week really, really hurt their chances to make the playoffs, especially with the Broncos. Seem like they've grabbed that 7th seed. But at least you can say, if you're the Dolphins, look, you look at any offensive metric we've had since Tua got back, we're one of the best offenses in the league. We know that the defense has a higher ceiling than maybe they've been playing at over the past couple of weeks. Because kind of like once Tua got back, the defense fell off. And while Tua was gone, the defense was great. They just couldn't have the same thing at the same time. But you have to at least say, hey, next year, maybe we can compete for the AFC East crown. But as far as this season goes, I think you just got to keep going. Stack as many good performances as you can. And against a Jets defense that is like really, really undisciplined at times post Saleh. Like this is an opportunity to score a lot of points and get back on track and at least move into the offseason with some momentum.
Somebody posted like a EPA allowed week cumulative over week in, week out. And you could see, so the Jets are like climb, high. And then you could see the week Saleh got fired, it just falls off a cliff. Right? I mean, just straight nosedives down. And it's like a direct, right? It was like the week after it happened. It was just boom, 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 boom. I like kind of how you're going about talking about the Dolphins. Matt and I did our little funeral episode, and it was just breaking them down and looking at their roster and everything. I'm like, this is it. So they got to kind of, let's get a little pep in that step, because this is what you guys have made. This is the roster, and you guys are committed to these. Like, I don't know what the additions that they could bring that could like rejuvenate it, outside of like a drastic change. And it's like, are you going to do a drastic change? You just committed to Tua. I know Dolphins fans have qualms with McDaniel and stuff, but like, I mean, still winning games and still can put together offenses and stuff. So I'm kind of with you. Like, do something. Like, just like push this week, push the last month, show what you got, like build some new layers, build some stuff, use it as like preseason, except it's the end of the season, like as far as like ideas and thoughts and good, like letting some of the young players go. So I'm kind of with you on that. Jets are just Jets. I mean, just Watching
I don't
against the
even
Seahawks,
know
just-
where they go here. The Jets, like you're
Jets.
like after the season's over, what do you even do?
Yeah. Like said this to Matt, it was like, I know people were doing after like with the Joe Douglas kind of puff piece stuff, like they're bringing up all the young talent they have, but it was like, okay, still need a head coach, offensive play caller, still need several linemen, still need a quarterback, you still need there's gonna be defensive pieces falling, going away or regressing or getting older, like
Devontae Adams
like
just sitting there, like
Devontae Adams just sitting there. What's he do now?
Just demand another trade. He's got another third best
Right.
friend he can go find.
He's gonna be in New Orleans next year. Yeah,
Don't do it, Devontae.
that was still the saddest thing. Where they're
Yeah.
like, he narrowed down his list where to get traded. I was like, oh, I wonder where they are. New York and New Orleans. It's like, come on, man. You could demand anybody. Come on.
Yeah, you already did the playing with one best friend thing. It didn't work out well at all. So why would you go jump to the other one and then you want to keep going? I don't know. All right.
Where's his high school coach or high school quarterback at?
Who knows? Probably living a very bliss life.
No, but and the Dolphins too, like getting back to them though, it's that I've kind of struggled just figuring them out. And then like that game against Green Bay was just so disappointing because I was starting to kind of maybe build a case that they could make a push. Like I was like, okay, they get this game, the defense has had moments and with Tua back, it's been better and just laid the egg in the cold. So now it's just like, all right, come on, let's get some good vibes there back in there. But we're going to get some more good vibes. We're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back with our Haas fight and some more one things on the rest of the Sunday and Monday night slate. We are back. NFC West tilt and our Haas fight of the week. Yeah, there we go. There we go. This is our Haas fight of the week. We've been doing this every week. Let's make it a segment. This week is a good one. At least it feels like two teams that we've talked about enough, and I feel like they're worthy of the Haas fight of the week. That is the Seahawks and the Cardinals with their second game in 3 weeks. Why not? Let's just round trip it. We'll just go back and forth between these two. Really, I wanted to focus on Cardinals offense and Seahawks defense. And it's because the Seahawks, both defenses have really improved lately. But I first want to talk about the Seahawks defense. The first time these two teams played, the Seahawks defense held James Conner to 8 yards on 7 attempts, 0 successful runs, 2 run stuffs. Trey Benson to 4 attempts, 18 yards, 2 successful runs, and 1 run stuff. And this is a Cardinals run game that finds their way against pretty much everybody in some way, shape, or form. It could be explosive passing. And this is really the Seahawks have, you have pointed this out multiple times. Mike McDonald, everybody coming from that Ravens tree, it's going to take some time to let this defense sink in and all the stuff that they do, the kaleidoscopic scheme, as I like to call it, everything they do takes a moment for it to kind of sink in. Everyone kind of know their roles and they figure out their roles, but also going for Ernest Jones and getting him in the trade has basically saved the Seahawks season. So some good old on-off splits. The Seahawks run splits and game splits and defensive splits with Ernest Jones and versus without him after they made the trade a few weeks ago. And really you see his significance in the run game. And I saw that a lot in this Jets game that I just watched this past week, but really a couple of weeks ago against the Cardinals as well. But backed it up with some stats, which is always nice for these segments because sometimes it's just trust me, bro, when I say this thing is good or bad. And it's nice to back this up. So with Ernest Jones, the Seahawks are tied for 7th in rushing success rate allowed. Without him, 27th. They are tied with the Bills, just above the Titans and the Chargers. We've talked plenty about the Titans and Chargers run defense. 27th without him. That's in between your Falcons and the Commanders. 2 run defenses you wouldn't want to be with. So that is just really where you feel Jones because he's just sound. Like he gets to the right hole. He's a good, solid tackler. And pass defense, he's been solid, but it's just they want a stabilizing force with him. And he's kind of just making it so, okay, we're going to run this coverage. Okay, we're going to run this defensive slant up front, or we're going to do this simulated look. He's just in the right spot. And that matters. Like that's really literally the difference of Ernest Jones, who's I would say is playing above average to good. Not saying like Pro Bowl, oh my God, he's the best player out there, but just playing solid enough that going from poor below average to above average good is just such a bump that it's really kind of made the rest of the defense kind of just feel more solid. And you know, that Jets game, they didn't give up the points, like or give up the yardage, I should say. Like that was special team stuff. And you know, the Cardinals game was another game, again, that they were really doing good against the run. So, and then just the EPA per play was another stat looked at. They're tied for 5th in EPA per play with Ernest Jones. Without him, they're 13th. So it's kind of a middling defense that's pretty shaky against the run, turns into a good defense that's very good against the run. So that's the difference. And that's why I'm really watching, is because it's pretty fun. And I want to see what Drew Petzing and the Cardinals offense kind of does to solve, you know, some of the issues that this defense gave him last time. But yeah, no. And the other side of the ball, the Cardinals defense, Seahawks offense, is 2 improving units. This was kind of the last thing for this game for me, is that Cardinals defense is 9th in DVOA right now. Since week 7, they're 8th in EPA per play. They're 13th in combined success rate and explosive play rate. It's a solid to good defense right now with a good offense and a sound special teams. But they've gone from 31st in pressure rate from weeks 1 to 4. In the last 4 weeks, they're 8th in pressure rate. And like then it's not just all the blitzes and funkiness they're doing. They're actually just getting home. So yeah, it's a good defense. Zaven Collins, I want to highlight him again. His versatility is really being highlighted in this defense. Pass rushing, coverage, all this stuff. Dante Stills is playing well. A lot of players playing well in this defense, going against an improving offense too. So really fun game, almost worthy of a deep dive, a breakdown, but just wanted to group it in here. But yeah, any thoughts on this one, or did I just take up all the air on it?
I mean, you had just about everything I was thinking about. I also just want to see if at any point, like, the Seahawks scale back, like how much they throw the ball this year, just because it's gotten crazy. And I was looking at Gino's like basic like Pro Football Reference
it's like
page.
85, it's like 80% or something like that, right?
It's gotta be. Faster. I mean, last year Gino started 15 games. He threw the ball 499 times. This year in 12 games, he's already thrown it 436. Like, you are going to smash that in 2 games, basically, at this rate. I don't know. It doesn't really seem sustainable to me, and I think it's interesting because it's not like their running back room sucks. Like, they could absolutely be a team that leans on that a little bit more with Ken Walker and then Charbonnet when he's on the field. So maybe it's an offensive line thing. Maybe Grubb thinks he's still in the Pac-12. I don't know. It's a little baffling, but I feel like they have gone too far on like neutral pass rate or first down pass rate. I don't know. I forget what it's called. But regardless, they throw the ball way too much.
Let Gino cook. It was the let Russ cook went all the way to let Gino cook. No, it's the line's gotten better, which is helping. The center change, Oluwatimi has been huge for him. Abe Lucas has been good he's back from injury. They went with a 6th-round rookie at right guard, Lamea, who had 2 of the worst botches I've ever seen in the first quarter, and then was good after that against the Jets. So maybe that's going to help. So I'm with you. Like, I want to see AJ Barner's kicking butt, blocking at tight end. So, you know, and caught a touchdown too. So I don't know. I'm with you that maybe they just didn't trust it. The O-line coach has been leaving a little bit to be desired. The Seahawks O-line coach, if I'm being honest, with some of his rule stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's not pushing for more runs because he doesn't want to be highlighted. Let Gino figure it out. But I don't know. They improved throughout the Jets game. I had a little thread on it on Twitter. A lot of duo runs. So yeah, maybe they figure out something. But I'm with you. That formula is kind of just too tough. They're like a full on Mike Leach air raid team. All right, going on to your next game. Your team versus the team I grew up with. Actually, I have terrible memories of these 2 teams playing. We got the Falcons at the Vikings. Vikings are 5.5-point favorites in the Kirk Cousins revenge game. I don't know if it's a revenge game if you're getting paid. All right. Yeah. What's your one thing for this one? This is. I know you still got some anger from Sunday, so I want to hear what you got here.
I wanted to just rail against Kirk today, and I mean I still can. But what I wanted to do was like, oh my God, like you have this guy who's been playing quarterback, and he's just like, he's not moving out there. Like, he's not doing anything that you would associate with modern quarterbacking. And I thought, man, like a defense like the one that the Vikings have, it seems like I would just blitz him until he dies. Like, because he can't move. He can't move back there. He's not going to move. Even in situations like where that's what makes the defending the Falcons so much easier recently, because even in situations where like there's space for him to take off or punish the defense for playing man or playing zone, he just can't and won't do it. So I looked up his stats against the blitz, and he's actually like kind of fine against the blitz, about middle of the pack. But to me, where you start looking at this game is, we talked about it last week after, or a couple days ago after the Chargers game. This offense is just getting easier and easier to game plan for, because they don't really have, they don't have any plays that would break you as a defense.
They don't have controllers.
Yes.
Controller plays. Yep.
I was about to say constraint, and I was like, I don't think that's the right word.
Same thing. Yeah. You have constraint plays, controller plays, change ups. I'll use sometimes. Right. Yeah. Just don't let someone tee off on what your main things are. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where, honestly, that's where some of Kirk's struggles in that Chargers game came, where it's too easy. Like they're I feel like the Falcons' biggest easy button right now, and they got to have something, is like they'll put Drake London in the slot, or they'll motion him out from outside into a stack, and they'll just run a slant because he's a big guy, he gets on the move, and he catches most of them. Okay, but that's like a C tier easy button, like that's still not the hardest thing to defend if you know it's coming. And you end up playing like this really like someone like Kurt Warner probably finds the Falcons offense really honorable, because you're just sitting back and you're just firing, you're not doing that much play action.
No
not
fakes,
doing that, no trickeration. You're just dropping back. All right, O-line, block, and I'm going to fire. And it's just not working. So while I did find it interesting that like some of the numbers, like where you isolate like what the Vikings defense is good at, like Kirk actually performs kind of well in some of those stats. But just like stylistically and trends wise, I don't really see how they like consistently move the ball through the air unless they're just mowing them down on first down runs. Because it's going to be pretty tough back there, I think, for Kirk.
Again, I'll bring up the Cardinals again. I always like kind of watching the Cardinals kind of figure out their offense, I should say. Kind of see how they solve problems. So like them against the Vikings, it was kind of like, all right, I can carry over some of this, now this next week, now that they play the Falcons. And what they did with Kyler was a lot of boots, a lot of putting them on the move, a lot of, what team boots the least, what team never uses any of that? It's the Falcons. And I was like, okay, all right. Oh, okay. I always bring this up, or what types of runs to use against the Vikings. All right, so do duo. Okay, maybe some counter stuff. You don't really want to pull guys. They went to a lot of counter, gap scheme, doesn't matter. But why I'm saying all that is all the Falcons run is zone. And so it's some of the stuff that they want to do or don't want to do. This is Vikings defense is going to go like, all right, see how you do without it. Like, see how you so it's not like the Vikings or the Falcons have like no shot. Like, I have no, like they can. It's just they make it hard on themselves. Then that's it. Like you mentioned easy buttons. They just, oh man, they can do the hard stuff, but it's like you don't always have to do a backflip. Sometimes you could just dive into the water, and it's just sometimes you can just go in and it's okay. For me, that's bootlegs, and maybe some screens, maybe some other stuff like that. So what this defense makes you do is be a big boy as a quarterback and push the ball and be right over and over. And Kirk, when he has to push the ball, it sometimes just comes unraveled this year.
It kind of reminds me when Kyle Shanahan got to Atlanta with Dan Quinn in 2015. Wow, 10 years ago, basically. I
know.
It's crazy. And
different lifetime for me.
Same. I don't remember exactly who wrote the story, but there was, when Shanahan got there was like a thing where Matt Ryan didn't really love the idea of running bootlegs. And Kyle was like, okay, and so what? That doesn't matter. I'm like getting out of bed in the morning every day, but I still got to do it. So go out there. Like that's how I feel like they should kind of handle this. And I will say Matt was a better athlete than Kirk is right now. but still you have to do it just to try, because I feel like you're wasting, and even with the season it's having, wasting feels wrong, but like there's still like there's stuff that Bijan could accomplish on the field this year that's not getting accomplished too, or like you could squeeze more juice out of that run game because they have the chops to run the ball, but I feel like even running the ball is getting a little tougher for them because everything's static. It's about the same.
Yes. No, I know. Yeah, they had that nice little stretch there for like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, where it's like, okay, this offense is really feeling itself and really figuring it out. But that's the thing, they didn't take that next step, so it's kind of feel like they're stuck in third gear almost. All right, going on to the next one. This is another little fun game. This is Bills at Rams. Rams are 4.5-point underdogs. We got our first home dog for the sloppy slate. Bills are rolling. Bills are very good on offense and defense. They have the MVP favorite right now, betting wise, in my preseason selections. The only thing I think I'm going to get. But I want Saquon gets it. But this is a fun little scheme game for Rams offense versus that Bills defense, because I'm writing about this, writing about the NFC West. Rams, really, really good against zone coverage. Not good against man coverage, which is something the Saints were taking advantage of. Kind of ran a lot of man coverage on all downs, a lot of one robber, and guys just, it's not, not their game. Like, they don't have really that speed element. They don't have guys that can kind of pull away. They're big body guys, which makes a lot of sense why they're good against zone. Looked at stats. Not scared of Stafford scrambling, which is, again, to be expected. But Stafford has the 4th most dropbacks against man coverage. He's 28th in EPA per dropback against man, 24th in success rate. Against zone, with Nakua and Kupp on the field, he has 97 dropbacks. 1st in success rate, 52.6%. 7th in EPA per dropback, almost a 15% explosive pass rate against zone. Why that matters? The Bills run zone at the 4th highest rate in the NFL. They want to do this. They want to run a ton of zone. They want to make it hard on you. They want quarterbacks to make a mistake. They want offenses to have to be patient. We'll see. It's kind of a strength on strength, though. And I'm curious if the Bills blink, if they go, okay, well, all right, we look at the self-scouting, the opponent scouting. They're not that good against man. Do they run a little bit more man? They'll change up some of their looks on passing downs, especially. And then it's kind of a Rams kind of thing. Like, all right, we got to get better against that. All right, well, they're going to do something that we have answers against. All right, what do we lean in against that? Is the Stafford just stays good? Do they lean into more of the run game? Because the Rams offensive line has been good in the run aspect, but pass protection, no, you don't really want to be dropping back a ton. So I think the second half of that Rams game against the Saints was pretty indicative of, like, okay, maybe they have to eat their Wheaties a little bit, eat their vegetables a little bit, and run the ball. Okay, be select with their passes as opposed to maybe being pass happy that they tried to be in the first half. So yeah, fun little scheme game here. And I two good teams. The Bills are really good, and I think the Rams are pretty good, and they still have a chance at the playoffs. So it will be a fun one in LA. Anything on this game? Or you want to get to one of your swap ones next one?
I'm kind of running out of things to say here about some of these games, but I feel like the Rams might find themselves in the same conundrum that we talked about, like after the Eagles game, where they had, I'm pretty sure they finished that game with a higher success rate than the Eagles offense did, but explosive plays, EPA per play, kind of that where you saw it tip. So I still like watching this offense, but it just feels you can tell they're just a little incomplete, not exactly health wise weren't where they want to be to start the season. Certainly found their footing a little bit, but it's just a little bit too late for them. But still, they can give the Bills a headache, but I just think the Bills can generate too many big plays at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's the Rams want to be very efficient. They're not extremely explosive, but the Bills are kind of fine with that. And the Rams offense, or ran on the other side, like Josh Allen's playing really well. They got a good run game, and they got good answers against what the Rams want to do, even though the Rams defense is fun and young and stuff like that. So it's an interesting game. I actually kind of would say that the Rams might cover, being home and all that. They have some okay answers, but it will be tough. Like I wouldn't see it's not like the Bills have poor answers against that. It's more the Rams have to prove a lot. All right, again, your fun one. Saints at Giants. Giants are 4.5-point home dogs. What do you got for this one, Charles?
Drew Lock is starting this week again, which is good because he's a better player than
Drew Lock.
Yeah, he's better player than Tommy DeVito. I mean, hey, they scored 20 points last week against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, which is better than 7 that they scored against the Bucs with DeVito. So I guess with this game,
transition of scouting. That's what you're doing.
Right. I know. I guess with this game, I just kind of want to see, and this is just petty, I just want to see if the Giants front can just mess up Derek Carr and just see if you can get him into one of those games where he gets hit a couple times and he's panicking and throwing bad balls. Because, dude, like I honestly think the Saints this year, I don't think they've been quite as bad, especially recently, quite as bad as their record is, 4-8. Like they have been tough out each week, and I would expect them to win this game. Even though like it sounds crazy that they would be 4-point road dogs or 4-point road favorites. That's just where the Giants are now. I just want to see if their front can mess them up a few times to the point where maybe Derek Carr does something funny, because outside of that, like these teams aren't playing for anything unless the Falcons and Bucks both just absolutely tank the rest of the season. So I don't know, not too much here, but maybe some funny things can happen.
Yeah, the Saints were trying on Sunday. I'll say that Rams Saints game was a little bit more fun to rewatch than I thought it would be.
They haven't quit. They haven't quit at all.
Alvin Kamara was running so hard. They're trying. And I thought Carr played solid game. They did, and the offensive line actually played pretty well. And I think Eric McCoy's coming back from injury. I'm not sure if this week. By the way, we're recording this on Wednesday evening as opposed to Thursday afternoon. So, so injury report stuff's a little shaky. Just after half of Wednesday practices are completed by the time we recorded this. But I also wanted to say is Drew Lock for a minute was having a great week. Tom Herman got fired from FAU, and then he ran in that touchdown, and I was like, it's coming up. World's coming up for Drew Lock, and then it kind of came unraveled. Michael Parsons came back alive. He kind of came unraveled after that, and Overshown got a nice little touchdown. But no, I will say that the Saints were doing some stuff. Their defense was trying really hard against the Rams. Like Lante Taylor was really trying to bring in tackling. He'd been poor at that throughout the season, so it was cool to see that. But yeah, see what the effort is, I guess, maybe something in that regard. I kind of have the same type of game in this next one. So I have Bears at 49ers. 49ers are 4-point favorites at home. This one, like 4 weeks ago, would have been a really good one, like maybe 5 weeks ago. But it's just been season hell from both of these teams. My bullet points on this one aren't as fun. I was like, what do you guys got in the game of Murphy's Law? Caleb Williams against Fred Warner, and Fred Warner's like banged up too now. Since the bye week, so when the Bears were feeling good, they just finished their game in London against the Jags, looking great. Hit their bye week, everything should be going, off the roller coaster. Everything should be going great. Then they play that Commanders game. Then they lose on the Hail Mary. Since that bye week, I should say, they are dead last in the NFL in combined success rate and explosive play rate. So that little stat I look at, the worst defense in the NFL. They have had injuries. Do not get me wrong. This defense, for a long stretch of the season, were a top 5, top 6 defense. They truly have just went nope on the year. And if you want to just look at effort level, details, and I know they just fired their head coach, Matt Eberflus, and this is a big reason because of that. But man, this is I haven't seen a team just like quit this hard so quickly like the Bears did over the last 6-7 weeks. So obviously fire their head coach, fire their offensive coordinator. Thomas Brown is now the interim head coach. He said that he's lost like 20-something pounds since he's become a play caller. Yeah, 22 pounds, man.
Should probably get that looked at, Thomas. I understand, like, losing some weight to stress, but 22 pounds in 3 weeks is... Thomas, I say this as someone who loved watching you play in college with Notre Dame Marino. Get that checked out, my friend.
That's right. Yeah.
And Thomas was drafted by the Falcons too.
He spent like 7 months as Wisconsin's running back coach.
Hey, fast riser. There's a lot of time for
He
stuff
was a
like
fast
that.
riser. Check that resume out. And then 49ers is just kind of like, what do you guys got to? Like,
Just
maybe
get to the end of the season, man.
Get to the end of the season. I know. Even writing about them was kind of just like, man, and then they just kind of, that snow game was just probably no fun to kind of just be it. Yeah. Been a rough one for them. Womp womp. But we're going to take our last break, and then we are going to wrap up with the rest of our sloppy Sunday slate. Here we go. Another big spread here. Panthers at Eagles. Eagles are 12.5-point favorites, nearly 2 touchdowns at home at the Link. This is one of your games, Charles. What do you got for this one?
This is going to be the toughest test for Bryce Young on his recent string of competency. This is really, really a tough matchup for him. And man, once I started, because the thing with Bryce is we are grading him on a curve right now, a massive curve, right? Because look, let's be real. There's a reason why he got benched for Andy Dalton. Like, that was merited. It was 100% merited, and he's been better recently. But when you start actually like placing what he's accomplished in the past 5 games that he's been playing compared to just the rest of the league, he's still below average, like, but now you're like 23, 24 instead of like 40, right? Which is a big deal.
Yes.
But here comes like the Monstars on defense.
Right. Here's the real but.
Here's the real but. Here come the Monstars. And I know Kansas City's defense has been a little up and down, but I would still give him credit for what he did against the Chiefs defense and scoring all his points and making some big time throws. This week against the Buccaneers, when I rewatched it, I was like, but it felt a little better in real time. He was okay in that game. And that's a defense that is definitely worse than the Chiefs defense. So, probably just going through a little ebbs and flows, but this is really tough right here. But if there is one glimmer of hope for Bryce Young against a face-eating defense with Jalen Carter, who's playing out of his mind, no rookie wall this year. He is absolutely slammed through that. The Panthers offensive line has a chance to hold up to what the Eagles can give you, which is not something that most teams can say. It's like the one clean, good part of this team, and they don't allow a whole lot of pressure. They don't allow a whole lot of sacks. I think that's kind of a fun big on big matchup with the Eagles defensive line. But once you get past that, like, man, that's a pretty good secondary you're throwing into as well. They've had some moments with Leggett and Jalen Coker, their first round receiver and their undrafted wide receiver. They've had some moments, but like Quinyon Mitchell, Darius Slay's had a good year. Coupe DeJean. I mean, it's just too much for them, I think. I understand why the point spread's is big. And then obviously on the flip side, I don't really need to break down Panthers defense versus Eagles offense, do I? That's an absolute boat race. Saquon should have another massive day. Like if the Eagles want to get Saquon Barkley an MVP or have people like really seriously consider it, spam him this game because the opportunities are going to be there.
They absolutely should be. And even like Thielen's come back from injury, but the thing is the Eagles are good against slot guys. Like they're good against stuff over the interior because of Cooper DeJean, because how they rotate the safeties. Reed Blankenship, when he's healthy out there, has been good as well. This Eagles defense is legit. It's not. It's numbers wise, efficiency wise, eye test versus the run versus the pass versus personnel groupings. It's just, they're a Fangio defense with some stars on it. It's a great test. They make quarterbacks be patient, make quarterbacks make hard throws as well. That's what this kind of vice grip defense will do. Just make everything feel tight on you, make tackle after the ball, tackle after the catch. So it makes the quarterback have to be, pristine. This is what Bryce Young should be good at. So he's not going to have to push the ball as much. He might once or twice or 3 times. It's not how he wants to play anyways, but this is a game where his strength should be to operate on time and to be efficient. So this should be, he should have a path here. They don't have the horses and everything, but this defense is just so good that it's just like, I mean, in theory, it's like, they have a style that works for this fight, but sometimes you are outclassed, and that's just how this one feels, even if they have some natural answers. So they might get them, or it might be one of those where the Panthers have a opening script drive, where they score a touchdown, and we're like, oh, ho, 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 like Bryce goes 5 for 5 and all that, and then it just goes, just the whole air just gets sucked out as the rest of the game goes along. Because that's kind of how I'm picturing this one. So, yeah, I want to see it though. I want to see it.
I will be interested in watching it. But
I will too.
Don't see it being a close game.
Right. And I just enjoy watching the Eagles defense, which is fun after how they've played like the last year or two. So next one is one of my games. Got a AFC West brouhaha. This is a Sunday night football game. Chargers at Chiefs. Chiefs are 4-point favorites. They played earlier this year. Chiefs squeaked that one out. That's when kind of the Chargers defense, I was like, you guys might be a little bit more real than I realized. So for this one, first off, Chiefs offense, DJ Humphries might be playing left tackle. That's interesting. They need it. I've never seen Mahomes truly just kind of, I wouldn't say show up one of his teammates, but truly just go, hey, this isn't right. What was happening on Friday, on Black Friday against the Raiders, where the left tackle, whoever it was not even going to be able to do anything. Wanya Morris, Kingsley Suamataia, it doesn't matter who's there. No one is blocking anybody at left tackle. Just a non-functioning position. And this Chiefs offense, because their passing game is so nickel-dimey and more just, hyper efficiency, they want to get everybody out into the pass route. So why I'm saying that is they don't want to give chip help. So they don't want to give the left tackle chip help because they want all 5 guys out into the route concept. That's how they want to operate. They want Mahomes to be perfect and find the right answer. And so that's kind of like, all right, it was limiting some of the things. Now I don't want to give this chip help when I tag it and all that. So maybe DJ Humphries, who has had, haven't you had some DJ Humphries thoughts where you're like, I wish I had his career? Made a bunch of money. No one has any thoughts on DJ Humphries, and everyone's like, yeah, okay. It's just first round pick, played a bunch of years, got money. And it was like, yeah, everyone's just like fine with it. No one's mad. No one's happy. It's just, yeah, okay.
It's good. That's a good life to have, man. No one has any opinions on me, and I'm well off and can feed my family.
It's good. All right. And you were with one franchise long enough that you can go back there and show your face. It's not bad. No, but that's kind of just that side, because Khalil Mack rested today. I did see that right before we recorded. Joey Bosa was practicing. 2 good players going against Humphries. Interesting. Just have to check that out. And the other side of the ball, last thing I want to get into this, Chiefs defense since week 7, 23rd in passing success rate allowed since week 7, 15th overall since the beginning of the year in DVOA. Might be a thing. Might be something to keep an eye on, because I've been kind of waving away like the Chiefs defense, top 10. They're top 10. They are still good against the run, and Chargers can't really do much running the ball anyways. Now they try.
They will certainly try. Yeah,
they will certainly try. They are going to poke at it as much as they can, but they got no J.K. Dobbins, who's now an IR. They got Gus Edwards back there and Vidal back there. But I'm just curious how much they're going to be chucking the ball, because also the Chiefs. This is the last thing. Chiefs poor defending slot receivers. I've brought this up before. But Ladd McConkey lines up there 2/3 of the time. That matters. Chiefs have faced the second most targets to the slot this entire season. They're 3rd most in yards allowed. They have the highest success rate allowed. Nearly 60% of pass attempts, over 100 pass attempts too, are successful when they get targeted the slot. They've allowed the most EPA. Typically happens when they blitz, but they're going to blitz. So check out for a big Ladd McConkey game. I think Herbert's going to be able to have some answers where it's going to be kind of boom bust against the blitz, but he doesn't take a lot of sacks generally. He has this year because of the offensive line, or he did against the Falcons. But I think they're going to be pushing the ball a little bit. I think throwing the ball might have a little slog in the run game. So look for some big plays for the Chargers throwing the ball. Yeah, that's a little bit. It'll be a fun Sunday night one. But then that's Sunday night. Sunday during the day, we got Slop Watch, and this is one of your games. So now's the time for Slop Watch.
Warning. This is a stopwatch.
I love this.
I
love that.
Thinking like the purge about to happen. So I'm going to break through my window with a damn shotgun. And that person is Will Levis, because this is the Jags Titans.
Jaguars Titans slopwatch. Have at it, Charles. Let's slop it up.
Yeah, I was about to say, Will Levis is, in the classic Looney Tunes bit where Elmer Fudd.
Could start.
Yes. Elmer Fudd's, he's in the forest with a shotgun, right? And he's chasing down Bugs Bunny. And all of a sudden there will be a moment in time where Bugs is in a tree, and Bugs digs a hole in the tree, and then he'll dig a hole right up over the first hole, and Elmer Fudd sticks the shotgun in the hole, and it loops back around into the second hole, and the gun's pointing at himself now. And that's exactly what it feels like watching Will Levis play football. Because there's good process here, right? There is good process at times. We're hungry. We are going to go get some food, and we're going to kill it and cook it with our own hands. Good. But you can't shoot yourself in the face along the way, right? So that's kind of the only thing here with this Jags Titans game. Because Trevor Lawrence officially went on IR today.
Yes, he did.
That's done. Mac Jones had a solid performance last week, but overall has been quite literally one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen this season. I don't know what happened to him, because he wasn't always this bad, but he is really, really bad right now. But Will Levis, he's getting sacked on 13.4% of his dropbacks over the llast month. It's close to 17%, which is just crazy. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
So much.
That's so much. Because the league average is probably closer to like 6%, 7% maybe.
Yeah.
But like 13%, man, that means like you're not even at one, it's not even 1 for 10 where you're getting sacked. It's more than that. You just can't live with these amount of negative plays, and obviously, just the boneheaded decisions he'll make, whether it's with the ball in his hand, with the ball out of his hand. I don't know. He's kind of wild out there. But there's like just enough here where maybe you can squint and see, hey, if he can just not mess up enough or not take too many sacks, he could have a decent game against the Jaguars defense that's really bad. Because there are some nice throws on the tape. Like, he actually had a pretty nice game last week, but again, just way too many negative plays, just exposing himself to way too much damage. But I guess he doesn't care. When you're built like a bodybuilder, you can eat it. Meathead quarterback.
Mayo coating around his body. Yeah, no, he's good. No, that was you nailed it. What happened to Mac Jones? I think he just went home and he's just like, I'm good. Like, this is great. Probably just he gets several mama cooked meals every week.
Pizza
That's
rolls,
pretty good. Yeah, pizza.
Mac, you hungry? Got pizza rolls in the microwave. Coming back from work as a starting NFL quarterback. It's pretty funny. Because there were a lot of people when he got traded back to Jacksonville. Everyone was like, "Oh no!" Like, come on.
Yeah, everyone's like, "No, that's not good."
he's a little party boy, Sometimes he's to stay away from home. As I
still got your
last
fort
week.
set up in the basement.
Me and Mac Jones, we both need to stay away from home. Which time?
When you're playing Madden?
Oh, no. It was after I had lost a not double overtime game. I did the nerdy go for 2-14, down 14, and I lost. I missed both, so I got the worst outcome. And the 2-point conversion was the last play of the game. And I was playing against my best friend from college, so this was a very tightly contested, talking a bunch of and I was screaming. And when I walked into the kitchen after the game, my mom was like, "Are you okay? Like, what was happening to you?" I was like, "Oh, I need to go home."
I forgot I forgot people can hear me.
Yeah, people can hear me. I'm not just sitting in my apartment by myself. Yeah.
That's good. That's great. Yeah. When I think of the pizza rolls, the pizza bagels, I just thought it was super bad. Just at the end, super brother in the basement. Pizza bagels. All right. Last game, Monday Night Football here. One of mine. Bengals at Cowboys. When they probably booked this one, they're like, oh, heck yeah. Week 14, Bengals, Cowboys. This is going to be a juicy one. Instead, Dak's not playing. Bengals season is just all that effort from Joe Burrow is for naught. It is the Simpsons game, by the way, which is, I think one of our friends is involved in that. So I'm pretty excited to check out what she's up to on that one. But the Cowboys are 5.5-point underdogs at home at Jerry World. Don't have to worry about the sun because it's a night game. we have to worry about it because it's a primetime game. But I do want to bring up, first off, Joe Burrow's been fantastic. Everyone's talked about what's gone on with the Bengals offense. Oh my God, the Bengals defense can't stop a nosebleed, all that stuff. Should have some better fare against Cooper Rush and the beat up Cowboys offensive line. I will say, since Micah Parsons has been back, Cowboys defense picked up a little bit. He's returned from injury in week 10. They've led the NFL in sacks since he's returned with 16. They're 8th in EPA per play. They're 3rd in EPA per dropback, 12th in success rate. Still meh against the run. They give up one of the most yards per run still. But they're going against Joe Burrow. He's been fantastic, like I said. The offense has some answers against this. They like to get rid of the ball quick. Just wanted to check it out. Let's see what's going on with Mike Zimmer versus Joe Burrow. That's what I'm keying in on this. So Zimmer's, they found a little bit of life. They're getting a little bit healthier in Dallas. Maybe the defense shows some effort. They're not totally out. I think they still have a 1% chance of the playoffs. So both these teams do, but just want to maybe check out while this defense is playing, because Parsons is still playing really hard. And I think the rest of the defense has, since his return, has kind of got sparked back, and maybe these guys are returning too. So that'll spark them up as well. Going against still a very good offense that statistically, eye test everything, with a quarterback playing very well as well. So that actually is a little bit more interesting.
I feel bad for Joe Burrow a little bit because
I do too, man.
Because when he got hurt, well, I guess last season, like there was a long stretch where he was just playing awful football. And now I think he's playing the best football of his career right now.
I agree.
Just defense is so bad.
Dude, like after week 1 this year, I thought, I was like, dude, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
Like my recent memories, I mean, we joked about it, but I was just kind of like, is he cooked? And it's been how he chooses when to be aggressive, when that offense is because of the looks they get and the receivers, but how consistently accurate it is, how smart he is, control of the offense has added another level. He's scrambling well as well. Like, we forget how good of an athlete he is. Like, yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed watching him this year. He's been probably one of my more favorite quarterbacks / players just to watch overall. Doesn't matter who the receivers are, they just figure it out. So yeah, I know you do feel bad for them because it's just like they do what they can. Like this was the strength of the team. Let's keep it the strength. So yeah, they have to. We did the funeral show earlier this week. The Bengals was an interesting discussion because it's like, all right, well, they need to find defense. All right, how they do it. Bengals fans think they're going for Mason Graham is their guy, the guy defense tackle from Michigan, and then Milton Williams, the D lineman from the Eagles, who's having a great year. That's everybody who needs a defensive lineman. That's like their pet guy is Milton Williams. So yeah, that's the hero everybody wants. All right. Mailbag question to wrap this show up. A reminder, you can send in mailbag questions to our email, football301mailbag@yahoosports.com, or submit a review on Apple Podcasts to jump the line, get that fast pass for Football 301 land, we'll call it. So this question, which was an Apple review question, it's from he74829. My buddies and I had an argument about if a nickel corner is a corner. Could you tell us what the difference between a traditional corner and a nickel corner is? Charles? Thoughts?
What? Yeah, nickel corner is a cornerback for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess it could technically be a safety too, if depending on
now. Yes.
Yeah. But I don't know. You're still a defensive back. You're not a linebacker. I would still consider it a cornerback just because, especially now in the NFL, like 11 personnel is king. We've known that for a long time now. Either you're just going to end up guarding receivers in that spot way more than you did in the distant past. So yeah, you need a corner out there. And I will say, as someone in college, when I played defensive end and I dropped every once in a while, not a cornerback. Not a cornerback. I promise you I'm not a cornerback. So yes, that's a
not a space player.
Not a space player. Because you end up, like, sometimes you'll end up where a slot corner was on a blitz, and you're next thing you know, you're the hook player or you're the flat player. And I'm wearing number 96, and just not. I'm the mark. I'm the mark.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't want to carry a single-digit number vertically. Yeah, that was like in the Big Ten. It was always, oh, is that a 52 in the slot? Okay, well, yeah. Just look at the numbers. That's how you figure out. No, it was traditionally slot corner was the third cornerback, and usually it was a the archetype was a smaller guy, 5'9", 180, 185, and they're quicker and they could keep up with the slot receiver because that was the third receiver, the guy in the slot, because they can just move around. They're quicker. That was the short routes that they had to run on. It's evolved like all positions have. So it's like slot is its own thing now. It's even on the all pro team now. So it's like, it's hard. It's hard to say because nickel corner is the thing, but it's the slot, but it's which is its own thing. And so I like a traditional corner, a stereotypical one, or a prototypical one, I should say, is Patrick Surtain. 6'2", 200 pounds, 190 something pounds, long arms. Like that is an outside corner. Surtain's a freak, can line up anywhere. Derek Stingley, also prototypical build for maybe those outside corners. While a slot guy is usually 5'9", 5'10". I guess Mike Hilton would be maybe nowadays the modern stereotypical, what was traditional slot corners. Now we get more of a hybrid roles. Now we get Brian Branch, not so much this year, but traditionally, who's a safety by trade that will play in the slot. Kyle Hamilton, kind of a hybrid guy. And that's just because defenses want to do a lot more. They want to tackle, they want to blitz, they want to, the guy, if like you just mentioned, 11 personnel is the king. If we have to be in nickel all the time, well, that guy has to be part of the run game. So the body types got bigger because of that. And just like receivers got bigger at slot as well. So it's just as things become more hybrid. So slot corners become its own thing as maybe to opposed to nickel. And nickel means 5 DBs. And now that's just standard. And then now there's dime, which means 6 for some reason. But it does. But yeah, I've been fascinated how teams will shy away from those body types or encourage them. Like some teams are like, no, I want no small corners. And some teams are like, oh, whatever, feisty is feisty. So it's fun to see what body types.
I used to always think it was interesting that that the slot corners, I don't think they're quite as small as they used to be, but I always thought it was interesting that they would be so small because I would just be like, run his ass off the field, right? Right.
Because that used to be the thing. It was like, all right, get him in the nickel and run at him. Like that used to be the common offensive answer. So
the year that
the
year that comes back to my mind is when Jalen Ramsey had the insane year with Brandon Staley and Aaron Donald was blacking out, and that's when I was like, holy crap! If you can put someone like Jalen Ramsey in a slot, you can blow up modern offenses. But it's really, really difficult to find players like Jalen Ramsey.
And those defenses too, being so much too high. Fangio right now with Cooper DeJean. Is you would rather have a better player in the slot than outside because they are more creative with how they use those guys because they will use the simulated stuff and blitz them and get them up in the run. So like, that's why Ramsey there, it's like, hell yeah, use them everywhere, use them because then you can rotate back. You can do all these things with them. Outside corner, it's like, it's still traditional, like what you want, like an AJ Terrell or something like that. But it is when you have someone dynamic like that in the slot, modern defenses are so much better at using them than they used to be. As opposed to, it used to just be like Rondé Barber was like the only guy. Like that was like, you're really like, oh man, that guy's dynamo in the slot. And then now half the teams have a Rondé Barber, Devin Witherspoon, for the Seahawks. Like there's a whole bunch of these guys now. It's been a fun kind of like evolution.
The last thing I have for this show is a quick story. The nickel and dime bit, it reminded me of the year I spent coaching high school football, which was also about 10 years ago at this point, which is crazy. Time flies. But I remember on the first day, like we weren't a very good team, right? Like there weren't a lot of guys who actually knew that much about football. So we were going through basic terminology. And, our coach, he was like, the head coach, he was like, all right, so nickel is 5 defensive backs, right? So if we're in our dime package, that is how many? And someone said 10. He's like, intuitively correct, but wrong as hell. It's 6. And he was like,
if
you ever suggest that we put 10 defensive backs on the field, you will run until you cannot breathe. And that always stuck in my head. Because I sat there and thought, I was like, why is it dime? I mean, I understand progressionally nickel dime, but dime's 10, I know. It's weird.
It is. It's just you can't call it a half dozen, I guess.
And then quarter is 7.
Yeah. And then there's dollar. Well, then it's funny you said we're not going to play 10 DBs. I was like, Bill Belichick might. Belichick. The Cardinals might. That's yeah. Well, then there's the famous Favre story. Like he had no idea what nickel was. Like that. That's always You can show X's on the chalkboard, man. Some of these guys. What coverage is this? I don't know. Too high. Throw it in there. Zone. just make the throw. Sometimes I even break the games down. It's like, is this power or counter? I don't know. Gap. Whatever. Yeah. Just move on.
Figure it out. Or don't figure it out. Yeah.
Or don't. Just score touchdowns. Go Hall of Fame. It's easy. All right. We're closing it out today. Charles and I will be back on Sunday afternoon with our instant takeaways with the fifth quarter of Football 301. We like our numbers here. I am Nate Tice. You can find me at Nate_Tice on Twitter. You can find me at Nate Tice on Blue Sky. Charles, where can they find you? What are you working on this week?
You can find me on Twitter, arguing with Miami fans. You can find me on Blue Sky doing just about everything else. Forwards on both websites. And this week I did forwards column, wrote about Brock Bowers. I don't really remember what else I did on Sunday and Monday. It's been a long week. But if you like Brock Bowers, you want to laugh at Matt Eberflus and the Bears, check out my forwards column from this week.
Perfect. I know you were ready to rock with the Bowers stats, so I appreciated that. So I appreciate everyone listening as well. Subscribe to us, follow us, rate us 5 stars, or watch us on YouTube, watch us on YouTube on the Yahoo Sports YouTube channel. Thanks to Brett and Stone for behind the scenes, do everything that they do. Thank you to everyone for listening. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you guys on Sunday.